disease triangle is the host, the pathogen, and the environment. So to get a disease to be actively seen, to see trees dying, for instance, you need to have a host that's susceptible to a pathogen. You need to have the pathogen present, and you need to have an environment that's suitable for an interaction between that pathogen and the host. So your host might, for instance, have various resistance genes in it, and you might never find that it's more resistant to the pathogen, even if you've got pathogen present, that's fine. But sometimes the host might become stressed due to some environmental conditions, which means that the pathogen can break through the defense mechanisms and kill the tree. So always remember the disease triangles when you're looking at any diseased trees. Because there are some things, particularly in a garden situation, which you can modify. For instance, the watering systems that are plants, the mulch that you apply to help improve the health of the trees. Because any healthy tree will help prevent the disease impact.
The normal area, would that be destroying the roots as well, though?
You kill one lot of root systems, moves into the next lot of root systems, and it continues to kill it.
So how do you control that?
The thing is, the tree itself will help. If it's kept healthy, the tree produces wall off the actual pathogen, and it will contain the area. For instance, if a soft rod gets into the and it will stay in there, and the tree will actually, then these layers will actually help keep it from breaking through. So there's a battle between the two. Again, we're talking about a native pathogen in a native environment. When you're talking about gardens, it's hardly native. They often, you go to rhododendrons, you say there's all those sort of things that kill, wipe out in the general range of the time. So it's important for you to remember those three things: the host, the pathogen, and the environment. If you can keep the pathogen out, that's the best way to do it. If you don't have the pathogen present, you don't have an issue. If you can modify the environment so that it's not so conducive to an interaction between the two, it also reduces the potential for disease.
So we can introduce the host and the pathogen by bringing in soil, or?
Panel area doesn't usually happen. It doesn't come in on soil, but it can come in on particular mulch you might. If you might go to somebody's place, there's a dead tree there that's usually had armor area in it, but you don't know, and you mulch up the trunk at the base. For instance, if you do the stump grinding and you take all those stump grindings, you use them in the garden somewhere else, that can become a source of inoculum.
Gotcha.
Pathogen to start. It's clean on entry. There's always all these things. And to prevent pathogens coming into a garden, you make sure your machinery, your soil you're coming in has all been purchased from certified nurseries. If you have that, you've got a good chance of not bringing anything new in, particularly phytophthora.
So going back on that, so foliage as a general rule is low likelihood.
Even the last 2 metres of the tree. So
Okay, so if
above ground.
if you firewood and trunks, it's low likelihood.
It's easy enough to tell when if you're going to take a tree out, peel the bark, you can cut that into the bark and you see the white mycelium coming up at the bark. If you go a metre above that and chop it off, you won't have an issue.
It's not like a phytophthora or any of those, like really microspores. If you can see the pathogen, you can see the pathogen. It's like if you see the mycelium, it doesn't get into the wood, it's in the interface. You can see where the mycelium is coming up the inside of the bark. Everything below that is getting infected, anything above is clean. It's just literally going around the tree and ring-barking it and killing it. That brings back that basal area. I guess the next one, go.
I was just going to ask, with so many tree companies dropping off mulch everywhere, is there a way of curing, I don't know if that's the right word, curing mulch to avoid that kind of thing?
If mulch is done to a Australian standard, so if your mulch is actually, so if you take your mulching place and they mulch your tree for you, and they will actually go through the Australian standards in 9 days above 60 degrees in temperature. So that means that means the whole mulch has to be over 60 degrees. So it's a mulch, so when you go to places, they actually have probes in, they rotate the mulch every 3 days, and normally it's 9 days at that temperature. It might take 30 days to actually meet those conditions, get that temperature. But if you can get through mulching standards of those temperature ratings, it'll kill everything, not just the bad pathogens, the good pathogens, and everything that start from scratch again. So that's the best way we do it with mulching. We're doing that with, I'll talk about giant pine scale in a second. We're using mulching a lot for giant pine scale. So actually, we can actually prove that we can actually kill giant mulching facility in the way we do our mulch, and actually producing heat generated, it actually kills those fungi off. As long as you meet the conditions for mulching. then then everything's okay. Chipping, that's why I separated from saying chipping to mulching. If you're actually mulching, you're actually getting the conditions. If you're doing chipping, you got to make sure that the chip becomes mulch. And that's all about temperature.
It's the environmental part of the arboriculture. If you get it over 55 degrees is the actual crucial temperature, then 60 degrees is what you set the standard. It will kill most of the soil.
So you want to let it sit for a while.
You want to let it sit for a while. And that's some of the learnings we've had for giant pine scone, which is good little transit information for the next one. Unless there's any more questions about animal area that you can't chat about. The giant pine scone, I think everyone's heard about giant pine scone now.